Hello, everybody, and welcome. If you know anything about CongruentX and our culture, you'll find out very quickly that we're very friendly, interactive kind of people. So, one of the things that I want to encourage you as we get started today with our presentation on how to finally stop doing CRM and start winning customer relationships with Microsoft Viva for Sales, I encourage you to use that chat to interact, to talk to us, to ask questions. At one point, I think we'll turn off the restriction on the mic and video and allow you to jump right in and share on some of the things that we're going to talk about today. The topic of Viva Sales has been making its rounds around the world. Microsoft has begun an amazing initiative to do just what the slide says, which is stop doing CRM and removing some of those heartaches that people encounter every day in using CRM. So I'd love to invite our special guest today, Jessica Maliner from Microsoft, to kind of tell us a little bit about what's going on with Viva Sales and why is Microsoft focusing on this effort at this time.
Awesome. Thank you, JC. And yeah, thanks everyone for taking some time out of your day to attend this webinar. My name is Jessica Malinar, and I'm a technical specialist for Microsoft Dynamics 365 business applications. So I work specifically with our customer experience applications. So that's marketing, sales, our customer data platform, and then of course, Viva Sales. So I am here today from the Microsoft side to support the partnership that we have with CongruentX. Viva Sales is one of our newest products, and we're very excited about it. We've put a lot of investment in it, and we are constantly developing it every quarter. We're even more excited to have great partners like CongruentX who really help us nurture our relationships with our customers and also bring some of their own products to the table that work in conjunction with ours, which you'll be hearing about today. So really looking forward to this presentation today by the CongruentX team. And before I do hand it off, I just wanted to take a few minutes to introduce Viva Sales and just talk about it from a Microsoft perspective. So next slide, JC. So the first thing that I did want to talk about is really the why we came up with a product like Viva Sales. There was a lot of market research that was done that found that sellers in most organizations, whether they had some kind of CRM that they were using or homegrown sales processes, were spending a lot of time doing administrative work. So that means that they were spending hours of their day doing manual tasks like going through emails, updating information, struggling to find data and information in the CRMs that they were using, and going through notes stored in various places, some of it even physical. They weren't spending as much time actually selling and having conversations with customers. Now, it might not sound like a big problem, but when sellers spend even just one more hour of the day on selling rather than administrative work, that can mean that much more revenue for your organization. So we wanted to create a solution for this problem. So that's why we came up with Microsoft Viva Sales. So we call it a seller experience application. Now, what it does is it lets sellers use Office 365 and Teams to automatically capture, access, and register customer data from your emails, your Teams calls and chats, from your sales proposals and more, and then record it into whatever CRM that they're using so that your sellers don't have to bother with the administrative burden of manual data entry so that they can spend more of their time, focusing on selling and having those great customer conversations. And the CongruentX team will be going into more detail about this during the presentation, and you'll be able to see it in action during a demonstration. Now, and next slide, JC. Some of you may have heard, but I did want to highlight our newest partnership with OpenAI. So we have now taken advantage of the GPT-3 language model, which is now embedded into Viva Sales. So this means more AI capabilities for sellers to take advantage of. Sellers will now be able to receive auto-generated text that contains relevant information so that they can use it and respond to their customer emails a lot faster. All of this strengthens and enhances the already existing conversational intelligence capabilities that we have in Viva Sales, and much of that you'll see today during the demonstration. Next slide. Lastly, I just wanted to take a minute to talk on our fully integrated suite of applications. At Microsoft, it's important to us that we are helping our customers be able to run their business in a more efficient and successful way. And being able to do that means having connected processes where everyone in your organization, no matter what department they're in, is able to do their work on the same platform where data and information can be shared easily. Success also means that our customers can be sure that their data is on a secure, compliance-based cloud, which everything at Microsoft is built on top of, and that is Microsoft Azure Cloud. Next slide. Microsoft has a large partner ecosystem. We work with a lot of companies, but CongruentX was actually really the first partner that jumped in early using Viva Sales and has started to build their own products on top of it that work in conjunction. They are a premier partner of ours and have really helped us, establish the bigger picture with our customers. So we also here at Microsoft wanted to thank them for working with us and putting on webinars like this one. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass off the mic to the folks from CongruentX, who are going to take you through a great demo of Viva Sales. And again, thank you all so much for being here.
Jessica, thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Glad to have you on board here as well. We're happy
And
to
thank
be
you to
employee partners.
Chris, I think we have also a couple of other executives on the call. Thank you to them and for them taking the time to join us as well, and for Microsoft support in this effort. So Jessica talked a little bit about why Microsoft is taking on the charge of making life easier for sellers through Viva Sales. But I think I want to take a little bit of time to talk about challenges. And before I do that, we made mention to Viva Sales working with other CRM systems. And I'm kind of curious as to perhaps what types of CRM is our audience using today. So on your screen, you'll see a poll. It is an open poll, so all you got to do is type what CRM system you're using. And I'm kind of curious, Chris, as to who is joining us today and what kind of systems they are using.
I agree. It's exciting that Microsoft has reached out to both not only the Salesforce group, but other CRMs. And we will see Viva extended in the future to work with other products, but from an ecosystem and product capability to be able to use all those different pieces is awesome. One thing we wanted to share about this webinar is that JC and I are going to try to do it like a podcast. So it's not very minute and slide to slide. So really interactive with you guys and really talk about and get the answers that you may want to be here for Viva for Sales.
So Chris, it looks like it's kind of like tying across the board with Dynamics maybe having a larger number of users, but we see people coming in who are using Salesforce, HubSpot, and then again the majority using Dynamics, which is exciting to see the interest in Viva Sales across different platforms.
Absolutely. When you look at the Power Platform and how we can surround other technologies like Salesforce and HubSpot, we can use the same tool set. You stay on the CRM of your choice, and you can still get all these great capabilities. So it's a great time for everyone involved, and so happy that we can share it with the wider audience.
Yeah. So Chris, I think people are really eager to see Viva Sales, but what I like to do is maybe talk a little bit about the challenge and then actually show them exactly how it is that Viva Sales is addressing some of the bigger challenges in CRM, beginning with the biggest challenge, which is adoption. And I'm curious, and I almost wish that we were in person so people could respond and interact in person, but how many of these challenges sound familiar to you? Because when we hear people say adoption takes different shapes. And so sometimes we hear people say that to them when they think about adoption challenges, they're talking about struggling with implementing a tool like a CRM tool into the way that they do business every day. While other people say just the fact of doing CRM, they don't have an issue with CRM. They kind of work with different environments and systems at other companies, but then to actually sit down, like Jessica was saying, the task of doing CRM becomes the biggest burden for them to use. What other challenges are you hearing, Chris, in terms of adoption for CRM?
Well, from our research, we know that over 50% of CRM implementations fail. And it's not that they fail to be installed, is they fail to achieve the desired outcomes. And that's one thing that we're focused at Congruent X is if you're not getting that outcome, you're not improving the experience, functional, easy, enjoyable for your users, and they're not going to use the system. A lot of times we have customers that come in and give us details where it's just a giant Rolodex, right? If your team's running around saying it's just a Rolodex or it's Big Brother, they don't see the value in using the platform. So a lot of those things are related to adoption challenges.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you brought up that pesky number. And honestly, you and I have been around for a long time. It's starting to get really tired to go out and talk to a client, and they bring up that big quote, like 75% and 80% of implementations fail. But when we look at the numbers and what the industry experts like Forrester and others are saying, we find out that maybe it's not as much a fault of the companies as we may think. As a matter of fact, as soon as an organization hits 10, 11 salespeople, their organization will go out and vet a CRM system and purchase a CRM system. And we're finding that on the other side of the business, there's the business owner who, by over 73% of companies, are focusing on the customer experience. And we see that the marriage of the two companies saying, I want to use technology like CRM to improve the customer experience. So we know it may not be the lack of a CRM system, because many companies, by 91% and more, have a CRM system. And we know that it may not be the technology itself, because experts are saying the same thing, that when you implement things like mobile apps in conjunction with CRM, the numbers go up. The use of CRM applications on their own increase potential productivity for salespeople by even higher than 41%. And we know that it's not that companies aren't making investments in the right things, because then the boost in productivity, the boost on the ROI of implementing CRM technology to both win and keep customers, we know that's working, right? So maybe it is not your fault. Maybe this failure in implementation, like you said, is really more about meeting the expectations of people as less than it is about the technology. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, based on the feedback that we're getting from clients, yeah, we have a CRM, but we don't use it, all the way through the fact that we do have CRM deployed and we have it successful. How do we bridge that gap? And a lot of the tools, the whole Microsoft Viva experience around modern workplaces is aimed at solving some of these challenges. So excited to talk about it with you guys today.
Yeah, so if you're in the call today and some of that resonated with you, don't feel guilty. It may not be your fault. You may have, in fact, purchased the right technology. You may have purchased it at the right time, and you may have purchased it for the right reasons. And you may have implemented it with the right people. But perhaps the real challenge that, which is what we're going to talk about today, perhaps the real challenge for you is the fact that a large majority of people in your company, your sellers, marketing, sales, support, is not wanting to adopt the technology, or maybe it is not aligning with business value. They can't see CRM as a direct line with a business ROI at the other end for each of the different divisions of your company. Or maybe it's the fact that as you implement change and you train people, you're not getting the impact and the results out of CRM, again, because expectations are not aligned in the right places. So having said that, I think that Viva Sales can help with that. What do you think, Chris? Do you think Viva Sales can actually impact some of those areas directly?
Absolutely. We're already seeing that progress with the beta customers that are using it. And again, still excited about where this is headed and what the future is, that we'll stay tuned to the end to find out what we've done in Congruent X to even grow on top of this.
Yeah. So let's kind of put our mouth where the money is and talk about some of those things, because when you say adoption, that's a really general term. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit and give Chris an opportunity to kind of talk about what that is specifically. And we mean that when we say adoption and that 40% and higher adoption issue with CRM, we are seeing that it kind of narrows down to things like what we call, and if you were in any of our meetings, you watch all of the Congruent X team going like this, right? Stop doing CRM. What we refer to as doing CRM is those daily tasks that Jessica was talking about, how people want to go out and sell, build relationships with their clients, but they end up spending the majority of the time doing CRM, and in not a so easy way at that. We're also talking about being able to do it from where they are. So we know that a lot of people work from within Outlooks and Teams. So why can't that functionality, accessibility be available from within the environments where they work from every day? And we also see lack of productivity and lack of adoption in, once again, the things that salespeople do every day. They get on a phone call, they get on Teams, they make a phone call, and then they're struggling to take notes. They're struggling to kind of get a nice overview, a wrap up, a context into the call, a sentiment into whether that was a good call or not, what things were mentioned, not mentioned, how do they recap so they can share that recap with their team.
There's always a good story, JC, that comes up when we talk about this, right? It's the fact that we have technology in our homes and in our offices that we don't use. Most people have a virtual assistant. I won't name them by names because I don't want anyone's to go off in the background. But you can say, hey, next time I go to the supermarket, get me some milk. And as your phone crosses that threshold, it now tells you, hey, you have to get milk. So we're still doing technology at work. It's 25 years behind us. Why can't we bring some of those things forward? We know what's happening in conversations. We know what's happening in your CRM and your emails, your phone calls. Why can't we leverage that? Instead, it's that mundane task of having to continue of entering the data, doing the same thing over and over, that repetitive thing. So this definitely sets us into the modern workplace scenario of what Microsoft is bringing forward and how we at CongruentX envision the future of these apps. And the future's today. We're doing this with the Power Platform. We're doing this with contextual experiences for different teams and groups instead of monolithic forms. Lots of great capabilities. And all of this is around the entire Microsoft ecosystem. But again, to all of our Salesforce customers and HubSpot people on the phone call, the same technology works for you as well.
And I think there's even a little bit of room for more, right? And I think we're going to talk about that a little bit today when we talk about DialoguePrime.
Absolutely.
All right. So stick around. If hopefully we've kind of gotten you interested enough in kind of understanding the challenges that CRM brings with it and how maybe the adoption challenge is not as much about the technology as it is about expectations. But also stick around to find out how we can deliver on the promise of doing things better, how we can deliver on the promise of accelerating things that are of value to your business, like customer retention and productivity and adoption of technology, and getting faster to meeting those quotas from week to week, without some of the promises that you may hear from other people, right? And being very, very candid, I think that with the emergence of technology like this, you hear a lot of companies saying, sure, you can have all the stuff that Chris and JC are talking about, but it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. It's going to take a 5-year project. It's going to take you completely dismantling your CRM system and starting over with a new tool, when the reality is that you don't have to do a monolithic project to achieve the results that we're going to talk about today. So let us help you out.
For your Mandalorian fans out there, this is not the way.
Yeah, this is not the way. Very good. All right. So Chris, I'm going to give you an opportunity to kind of take over the screen. But before we do that, can you tell us a little bit more about what Jessica started sharing about the components of this application, this system?
Yeah, I mean, I think the tagline says it all. Let's work with the tools you already have. Let them work for us, giving us back the productivity that we've been missing by having to enter data and move it across different places. And the technologies that you use today, like Teams, Outlook, and any CRM system, are the capabilities that are in the platform. By grabbing, whether it's meeting information, call information, calendar information, even looking at keywords, or now the new integration with ChatGPT, you can see how we can leverage all of those capabilities inside of the stack, again, dependent on what you'd want to deliver. We also have an add-on that we've developed on top of all this called DialoguePrime, which we'll talk about at the end.
Yep, that's right. All right, so as you're taking over the screen to show us Viva Sales, I want to encourage everyone to ask questions. Like I said at the very beginning of the presentation, this is for you. This is your opportunity to ask about the value that this can deliver. We love talking about value acceleration at CongruentX, and we do that because we know that technology is nothing unless it can achieve business outcomes. So, Chris, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to
Absolutely.
give you the opportunity to go ahead and switch over to the live environment where
Yep.
you'll be showing us Viva Sales.
You got me? Okay.
I
So
see it.
here we are. We're sitting in my normal Outlook as we would have every day. And you'll notice as I start typing in a person's name, you will notice that Viva Sales automatically goes out to my CRM, whether it's Salesforce or Dynamics, and can determine that they're a contact. And just for giggles, I'm going to add someone who we know is not a contact because I want it to be able to see the difference. If I hit show details, you will see that the pane to the right opens up for Viva for Sales. Now, I know there's some conversation around the Dynamics 365 pane and its functionality with tracking and all of that, but this is AI tracking. This is a different level. Again, working in the modern experiences, letting the system do the work for you. You don't want to have to go look up, find the record and track it. You want it to do it automatic. And this is what we're headed to. You will notice that it has identified both a contact in my system and the contact it's not. How many times have you been on a call or you've been in an email thread where somebody was automatically added by a client, by a partner, by a vendor? Now you can simply just press add and that record will be created in your CRM system without you having to add any details. It actually uses AI in the email body and can pull out details such as signature information, phone number information, even the domain and website addresses get added to that contact. But there's even more information that's available if we start to look into the actual contact. I have the ability to see private notes and follow-up activities that are happening for this client. But I also have the view into my Dynamics or my Salesforce CRM system. I can see contact information, opportunity, account. And get this, I even can switch and edit the record right in line and make changes all without leaving my CRM platform. Without leaving my Outlook. So now I'm working inside of Outlook. I'm working in the tools that I already use. I'm able to update my records and keep working without switching from the contextual experience that I'm in right now. I can make those updates. Very powerful. Let me show you one of the most exciting things that I love about Viva Sales. So this one happens to be around a reply to email. So I'm going to take an email that's a live email from a real customer, and I'm going to show you what happens when we get to the reply. So I'm going to pop out that reply email right here, and I'm going to press Viva Sales again. And now you're going to see a different response from Viva. And this is Viva's integration with ChatGPT. And without even reading the email, I see that I have the information about what it's about. So I'm going to make them a proposal. I can actually press make a proposal and ChatGPT will read the email and generate a context based on the email and be able to give me a response. And you can see right here, thank you for the interest in the product. I'm excited to present you a proposal. All the details about what was spoken, I can simply copy the text, paste it in the email, and now my email has been completely written for me. I also have the ability to select different responses so that you know that it's reading it, like reply to inquiry, and you will see the difference in the email about what they would like to do. Or I can actually select my own. So the ability to extend, create different formats, all using your Outlook and ChatGPT. So really cool features that are available inside. There's some common questions come up. Are these planes configurable? They are configurable to what you can see and view. You can add the fields to the opportunity, the contacts or accounts. You can show what fields you want to have editable or not. In the future, expect more expansion on different entities and custom entities coming from an Outlook perspective. So that's a little bit about the Outlook side. What do you think about that, JC?
Yeah, I like that. So, when we showed that graphic earlier with the ladder, that's sort of like the first doing CRM first step in the ladder, right? And most people will go in, they'll start typing information, and then unfortunately later they have to copy and paste and go to some CRM system and paste it. And now we're seeing Viva Sales kind of overcome that. And second thing we see is that people just want to get to information. So having insight directly from where you are in Outlook is fantastic. And I love that ChatGPT thing because you're right. Sometimes we can be at a loss of words, or we want to be able to get some more standard reply and kind of build our response from there and save a lot of time. I can imagine them the incredible increase in productivity in the reduction in data entry alone. But here's my question for you. So here I'm in Outlook, and this is me collaborating and interacting with things that have to do with the client, along with the client, replying to the client. How about things that have to do with collaboration? You know, when I'm collaborating with my peers, because I spend a lot of time in that as well.
Yeah. But I want to sound like the ShamWow guy and said, wait, there's more.
But what you also get,
right? So staying within the Outlook experience, I'd also like to talk about the meeting experience, which will lead us into your segue of Teams. In the meeting experience, you'll notice that Viva for Sales recognizes that this is a customer and gives me the opportunity to record this meeting. This is the new capability that brings us into call intelligence. So now when I notice a customer's on the call or even an external email address, it gives me the ability to record that call based on settings that your administrator can apply. After that call is made, what will happen is you will show up inside of your team. So I'm going to switch over to my Teams real quick and show you inside of the Teams window. You will see this Viva Sales preview channel where your meetings will start to show up. And by opening up these meetings, you are able to see the details about a phone call. Let's take a look at one of them. So I'm going to open up a call from yesterday, and you'll notice now Viva Sales is sitting inside my top applications up here. And what's happening is I'm now seeing the process of the call. So from the beginning of the call, I'm able to see a recap. All of this is powered by ChatGPT. So JC, how many times you've been on a phone call and then you got to go explain it to somebody else, right? What did you say? How did it aspect? Or better yet, you want to follow up with a client after on what the call was about. It takes you a lot of time to sit down and draft the email, grab those details, understand. Now, through the power of ChatGPT, I have automatic highlights of what the call was about. I can easily copy them to my clipboard, paste them in the email, type in the customer's information, and off goes the email with a summary within minutes. Did you know that 77% of deals close faster by following up the same day? Pretty cool. So the other things I can see inside of the summary is also follow-up items. So if I'm on the phone call and I promise to share, in this case, I promise to email somebody or transcript over to them, I now can see those activities and know that on my call, here are the things that I needed to do. By the way, I can see the entire transcript of the call, and I can search for words inside of the transcript, such as Excel or other items, even usage items. One of my favorites is the actual ability to see the phone call, play the phone call, and understand both the positive, neutral, and negative sentiments. This could be very useful for like a call center or even someone that's handling support work where that you want to be able to look at your customer response. And you could even, through the power of the platform, you could have Power Automate workflows that understand the negative rating of a call and automatically get a manager involved to help or to review the call so that you can take care of your experience with your customers. Some other items that come up are mentions. So as the call is going along, keywords, company names, people, times, prices, and questions asked by your sellers or by your customer will all show up inside of here. So you can completely recap your call, understand all the details about that call, who attended the call, how long the call was for, even how long they spoke for in their longest monologue within that phone call. Pretty cool technology, right, JC?
Yeah. So the first part that you showed us, reducing the amount of time that people spend in CRM, is a huge, huge gaining time. And this, the ability to go into our calls and get intelligence from so many different perspectives directly from Teams, is also huge, because how many times have you ever sat on a call with another person and end up saying, hey, I'm focusing on the client, go ahead and take notes? Or you do a recap on a call that you were in with your peers, you had two or three people, and all of a sudden somebody says, by the way, the client mentioned that they're ready to buy. The client mentioned that they are using this particular solution. They have this challenge or they want to get this value. And you go back and you go, oh my gosh, I completely missed that.
Yeah.
Well, now we've got an assistant with us all the time.
And even that experience has changed, right? Because you're working in teams, you're working together with other sellers or other people in the organization. And what do you need to do? You need to share that information, right? Well, Viva also adds the capabilities of being able to simply type in the name of the record of the company of the person. It will find that person inside your system. It will find the address. So if I type in the name of a company, for example, in this case, I'll type in that. I can then click on that information. Now you will see the record pop up with the details of who they are and the ability for me to press send. And now JC has the details with all of the information and the ability to even open up the record in Dynamics. So I easily can share that information to him. It could be in Salesforce as well. And he can see the card right away without even having to go into CRM. He can get the information and make that quick phone call right from inside of Teams.
And you have the transcript rolling, so you can literally copy and paste components of that conversation and share them with team members, or even kind of repeat that back to the client to show that you really were listening.
Yeah, this is a common problem we hear from customers on that their sales team sold one thing, but their delivery team doesn't know what they sold. That doesn't happen anymore because now you can actually use the transcript and be like you were at the phone call. You can hear it, you can see it, you know what the takeaways were, you know what's been sold. And now the people who are new to the deal, who are coming in and are going to listen, there's no excuse for them to not be able to see it, read it, and get up to speed quickly and really give you that unified view of your customer and improve your client experience.
Yeah. So, Chris, are you seeing this as also an opportunity for directors of sales and VPs of sales to also coach their people on what are the right things to say and add value to the client?
Absolutely. And I think, when you start to show about some of the things that we've been working on, as well as Microsoft has implemented with Teams, real life coaching capabilities for both speed and conversations. As that becomes real time, we'll be able to tune that to help people. But this technology is really to help the salesperson, help the team member, mentor them in your process, in what you're doing, so that you can get better. It's not a big brother approach. It's more of an approach to make it easier for you to do your work. And you can see how quickly we're able to share that detail in the system and really not have to do that CRM work anymore.
All right. So I have a question for you, Chris. We talked about making life easier for salespeople, reducing the time that they spend in CRM, doing it right from where they are, leveraging Teams not only for sharing information with coworkers in the teams, but also to kind of get better intelligence or greater intelligence from the calls that they're making in Teams. Is there an opportunity for this to go even deeper? Because when you use the word intelligence, there's so many other things that you could potentially get from a phone call. A lot more insight from different perspectives. So maybe it's a good time to talk about DialoguePrime.
Yeah, I mean, so excited to talk about DialoguePrime, but it would be lost without explaining that DialoguePrime uses Viva as the platform, right? And DialoguePrime is built on the tool sets that you already have in place with Power Platform, Azure, and Power Automate to help do some things like giving you real-time relationship insights, seller insights, industry insights, and brand insights into your calls. Not only does it rate and manage each one of your calls and scores them, but it also goes a step further. It actually brings that data into CRM, marrying all the things that you have seen today to the account record, contact record, opportunity record. So now when you look at your CRM system, you're lighting it up. And we're going to share more about that on an upcoming webinar, right, JC?
That's right. I'm going to put a slide up here in a second to show you that, yes, we have an event that's coming up. It is coming up on, let's see, before we jump on that, just real quick preview. It is coming up on March 1st, Wednesday, March 1st. We encourage you to sign up because Chris is going to go deeper into the type of intelligence that perhaps Viva Sales is not collecting today, and how we're leveraging Viva Sales to give you greater insights into what's happening during your conversations.
The progression, right? We
That
started
progression.
with what you have. Now, what else can we do with it? And that really starts with lighting up your CRM system. And thank you, Tasha, for putting the link in the window there so you guys can see that as well. But the initial pieces are stop doing CRM. Now let's light up CRM. So all the activity that you're seeing, how many people want to know productivity of your sales team? You want to know what calls they're making, what details they're doing. Right now, you're going around asking, what are they doing? What have they done? I can't see it. And it requires your salesperson to go update their account, their notes, their contacts. What if I could tell you that automatically that would happen on behalf of them? Stay tuned to learn more about DialoguePrime and how that happens. But JC, I think we should still talk about Viva, and let's talk about how we deploy it.
Yeah, so we have a couple of opportunities to kind of do this. And I would, I would love for you to ask any questions that you may have, but I have a question for you, which is, what would happen in your organization if you gave 1 day a week back to your salespeople? More
Wow.
productivity, at least 1 day, right? And we talk about ROI and return on investment, and everybody wants to know, well, how much is it? How much does the solution cost? But we got to think in terms of outcomes and values. And so when you think about, well, first of all, the fact that CRM in general is returning an $8.50 investment for every dollar you invest, that's already an investment. If you can make people more productive in using it, just imagine the value that you can add to that. And so we want to get this out to people. We want to put this in your system and get you to start, benefiting from that extra day a week of productivity by deploying
Man,
Viva Sales right.
that's some ROI there. I mean, you look at it, a salesperson salary times 6 to 8 hours a week times 52. You do the math really quick, it adds up fast. What
Yeah,
about the other opportunity, JC? When you got more time, you can sell more.
that's right. Now, you've been in this for a while. You're a Microsoft VIP. We don't recommend that people just go out and buy it and implement it. I think that there's more that goes behind this. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, let's get into our offering here, which is get Viva Sales right in 30 days. And again, there are companies out there that will tell you that this is a 6-month implementation and on and on and on and on. But if you see below, these are the activities that are included in what we're talking about here. Could you turn it on and enable it really fast and not train your users and hope for adoption and all of that? You could, absolutely. But why go through the pain? Why can't we get a revenue, get a ability to work with your team, implement it correctly, set up the design thinking sessions that JC runs on understanding the challenges that you're having today, start to set up, onboard, configure, working with your IT team. If you don't have one, we will do the work with you for your Teams integration, your Outlook. And again, you guys already have these tools. So you're not asking IT to deploy or do something that's taking hours of worth of work. It's simply enabling some configuration that allows for call recording and the ability to push these apps out to the actual desktop. So you have the plugin inside of Outlook and the ability to leverage it inside of Teams. And then we do the adopt, where we evangelize what it is, how we set it up, email campaigns with self-learning videos. We love to do the daily coaching calls, right, JC? Aren't those a blast?
Yeah, we don't want to create one adoption problem by going out and eliminating another adoption problem. So you're right. When we think about the way Viva Sales can help increase the adoption of CRM, the truth is that just like Viva Sales makes things more functional, effective, enjoyable to use, the truth is that there are challenges in your company that Viva Sales is helping you resolve. Well, let's hold hands. Let's kind of go through those together. Let's identify them, and then let's allow the tool to be an enabler to solving the problems that are specific to you through the things that Chris is talking about. And a lot of that has to do with coaching, listening, identifying things that are value to you, making sure that you get the outcomes you need, but then also the training part and the coaching part on a regular basis, as well as monitoring tools to see that you are getting the return on investment that you expected.
Absolutely. We got a question in the window from Rick Chamberlain. Thanks, Rick. Does this leverage aspects of other AI-based MS Microsoft systems like Customer Insights? And the answer is that Customer Insights data storage is also Dataverse. So the item that's being stored inside of there, we can get access to that and help light up your CRM with that as well. In this particular model with the initial Viva for Sales stuff, there is no integration with Customer Insights out of the box. But what you see we'll be doing with DialoguePrime and how we pull all that stuff together, stay tuned for the next webinar, and we'll show you some of that as well. So I hope that answers your question, Rick, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, good to see you, Rick. Yeah, Chris was saying, I really encourage you to come back to join us for the DialoguePrime webinar as well, because we really believe that customer insights are important and give you a certain level of visibility, but there are other behavioral things that are happening in your relationship with the customer that we're trying to identify as well. And so when you think about things like engagement and accountability and who lacks the knowledge to win the customer and keep the customer, those are important insights that you really need. And those are things that we're really addressing within the DialoguePrime platform.
Absolutely.
So speaking of DialoguePrime, I think what we're trying to say, without being too sham wow act now, what we're trying to say is, hey, act now. Here it is. You have an opportunity to start implementing Viva Sales and potentially also DialoguePrime to get greater insights into what your customers are doing, greater visibility into the insights that are coming from the calls, and the reduction in what people are doing when they're doing CRM, increasing that productivity and giving you back a day to actually win and keep customers in a way that is meaningful to your business.
Yeah, we're getting some amazing insights from what DialoguePrime is able to capture and what we're able to do with it in regards to our frameworks and our playbooks that are available not only for relationships based on JC's book, but also sales profiles, even industry-specific needs. So if you've got a specific industry need, an example of that is in healthcare, a case is a lot different than in support in IT. The difference in the language and how that's picked up could mean two different things. Well, with DialoguePrime, we have the ability to tune that framework specifically for you or your business or your industry. So lots of opportunities there, JC. And I can't wait for this webinar to really show you guys how we take the next step with the Viva platform and we light up your CRM so that the things that you wished all your users were doing and how that was working, it all comes together and really shows you how you can leverage the tool set of a modern experience along with the power of the Power Platform, whether you're in Salesforce or CRM, and get unbelievable analytics into your business, increase your sales revenue and profits, and most of all, increase your user adoption.
And just like that, time flies when you're having fun. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to encourage you to sign up for this upcoming webinar. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you. If you'd like to stay around and just say hi and talk to us on chat, please feel welcome to do that. But other than that, thank you again. Thank you, Microsoft, for being a part of this. Thank you to the CongruentX team who's joined us as well. And I will see you in the next webinar coming up March 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And I just want to say a huge thank you to CongruentX. You are one of our most trusted and valued partners here at Microsoft, and none of this would be possible without you. So again, amazing partnership, one of our most valued partners. So everyone, thank you who attended. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any additional questions. You've got your contacts here. We've got contacts here at CongruentX, so we're all here to help you.
Thank you, Jill. Appreciate that. And again, we'll stand by if there's additional questions or you want to come off the mic and get some additional detail. We're available. There's links that Tasha has put in the window. So if you can't do it right now, if you get a chance after lunch, you can come back and click on these links and get yourself signed up for DialoguePrime. I promise you, you will be glued to the seat for the entire webinar and see how we pull this whole thing together.
Thank you, everybody. See you in the chat. Feel free to stay behind and talk.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.